Hello! I'm Elaine, and I'm a tour guide in the French Quarter. I do ghost tours. And I am not going to tell you the stories that I tell on my tour, because you gotta pay for those. But if you want to hear some interesting things that have happened to me while I'm leading random drunk people around the French Quarter, I got you. One night, I had just finished a tour, and I had finished it at the same time as two other guides because we all share that tour. And when we share the tour, we often hang around to chat with each other a bit before we head home. And so we'd been chatting, and eventually we all decide to get up and walk away. And I'm parked at the exact opposite end of the quarter as everybody else, but it's cool. We walk for a couple of blocks, and as we're walking, we glance over. And there's a guy coming up, or actually two guys coming up on this woman who's leaned over the trunk of her car, clearly pulling something out. And keep in mind, this woman was probably in her 60s or 70s, gray-haired, dressed like an older woman. Like, clearly this was a grandmother type figure. And one of these guys that was walking by just walks up and grabs her ass hard enough that she sort of falls into the trunk. And her husband, who it seems was stepping out of the building to, like, come help her get whatever it was out of the trunk, starts screaming at these guys about, "Don't you dare touch my wife's ass!" And this drunk guy turns and looks at him and says, "I'll touch what I want. I'll touch your ass if I want." And they're just screaming at each other, and me and my friends are just sort of standing there watching, being like, okay, well, that's happening. And once we realize that, like, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere violent, it's okay, even though the old man is threatening to kick this young guy's ass. But it doesn't seem to be actually going to that place, so we just sort of ignore it and keep moving. And the drunk guys, it turns out, ignore it and keep moving as well. But the fun thing is, pretty soon, I turned off to go towards my car, and these drunk guys followed. They weren't following me, they were just walking the same direction. Though at one point they did notice me walking, like, on the other side of the road, because yes, I crossed the other side of the road from them, and shouted out something like, "Hey, girl, come hang out with us!" The fun thing is one of the guys was significantly more sober than the other and was clearly trying to steer his friend into not getting arrested. And so when one guy was screaming at me to come over, the other guy was going, "No, no, no, she doesn't want you. She doesn't want to hang out with you. She is literally just walking, probably home. Leave her alone." But it was a fun little 4-block adventure. At one point, the guy was singing. At one point, he was screaming about his friend trying to steal something from his ass. At one point, he walked by a car and started punching it, and his friend pulled him away just far enough that he instead started punching the police car that was right there, with two cops sitting in it. But my favorite probably line of the entire evening was I was climbing into my car and, like, just sort of half listening to them still walking away a block away. And it had mostly, like, they were far enough away I could barely hear them, except for this one last line. "Bitch, you've got my butthole." Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to share your own experiences in the comments below.